Hello, and welcome to episode 51 of Expertise is Overrated, the podcast that takes the time to answer the questions you didn't know you didn't want the answer to. I'm Sean.
And I'm Vib, and neither of us has any clue what we're talking about.
I think we've gone from my sound being absolutely borked to my sound being unsettling.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's why I rushed that opening line there, because I'm quietly... Well, I'm disconcerted, not going to lie.
Sending shivers down everyone's spines. Not
Yeah,
necessarily in a good way. It's great, isn't it? I'm really enjoying myself. I'll stop.
It's like you've been possessed by a chaos demon or something.
I'll stop doing it deliberately. I might slip out from time to time.
You feeling all right?
Yeah, I feel great.
Any warp rifts opened up in your area?
Not that I noticed. I think I've just found my calling as unsettling people over the radio. You could have me read out the shipping forecast for people trapped at sea, and they'd think they were in some sort of Lovecraftian horror film.
Well, no, because I think those guys all sound like that, so...
That's probably true.
You do have a voice for radio.
Also, our mutual friend would be very unhappy if I got to read the shipping forecasts before him.
Is that right?
Mm.
Interesting.
It's Vivian's sort of life goal is to read out the shipping forecast on Radio 4, which is an amazing life goal.
That is kind of an amazing life goal. I rate that.
It's great, isn't it?
Be a shame for him to give up his comedy, though. For anyone listening, do go check out the Awkward Silence. They are very good.
They are very good. Shout out to the Awkward Silence.
I went to see them not long ago, and then the very next day tested positive for COVID. So hopefully they are still with us.
I was going to say, if they're not currently touring, you know who to blame.
Except they don't know my real name, so joke's on them.
No, they don't.
Not because I don't necessarily want people to know my real name. I feel this is actually just easier to say.
It is. You've sort of committed to this anonymity now as well, which is great.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's actually caused some confusion, I must say. So it's like saying to someone that I do a podcast, and like, yeah, but your name's not Vib. I was like, yeah, I realised that. But I'm telling you, it's me.
It is me, honest. Yeah, at least I, people recognise my name with my voice.
Well, except that your real name's actually Mark, isn't it? So,
oh well, yeah, there is that. There is that.
Anyway.
This is a callback all the way back to episode 26.
Yeah, it's nuts that it's been that long, huh?
I would have said
nearly 50% ago. That's not a sentence.
Nearly a year ago. That can't be right.
No, we were doing more. Actually, no, it would have been a year ago.
It's about that, isn't it? That puts a lot of things into perspective.
That is quite scary.
Yeah, don't think I like that. Anyway,
I also like that we at the time of us doing that one, we sort of went, "Oh yeah, these are really fun. We should do them all the time."
Never done one since.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, yeah, the astute amongst you, or people who read the episode titles, will have realised that we're doing another You Wake Up As episode.
Yeah, YWUA. Classic.
Yeah. Something where the acronym is actually harder to say than just saying all four words.
Significantly harder, actually.
YWUA. God, we're idiots sometimes.
You wake up as. You wake up as. Last time, of course, we famously did Joffrey Baratheon.
I think it was the best post that Reddit has ever had, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh shit! Yeah, it was your post, wasn't it?
It was.
I'd forgotten that. That's like the best thing you've ever done.
Sorry, no, it's the second best Reddit post ever after EA's "Don't You Want to Feel a Sense of Accomplishment?"
Yeah, I mean,
that was the best Reddit post ever.
Your best Reddit post ever.
It was absolutely mine. You Wake Up as Joffrey was very well received at the time. We've had a lot of people get in touch to say that they'd like us to have another crack at it, which, we're doing it now, so we do listen to the feedback eventually.
Yeah, we just ignored all the suggestions for the characters.
Well, yeah, because Henry VIII was a stupid suggestion.
Henry VIII is a stupid suggestion, yes. You wake up as Henry VIII and you instantly just kill yourself,
Not instantly. I probably eat some things that are currently illegal first.
You think?
I'm curious. I feel like Tudor cooking could be pretty decent.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Like in a give you goat sort of way. Like, that guy must have been eating well to say how much goat he had by the time he died.
Yeah, maybe. It depends. Yeah, if you wake up as him with already raging gout.
No. I want to wake up not long after my brother has died in a jousting accident, I think.
Yeah. Did you see there was a post doing the rounds on socials, of what Henry VIII would look like in
It's
modern
not
times.
good, is it?
It's not good, no. Like he is your white van,
yeah, it's
driver.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah. So I guess we have done you wake up as Henry VIII then. You eat some food, your gout flares up and
go jump in the Thames.
That'll be all she wrote. Jump in the Thames. That's a slow and painful death. I did not know that.
True. Oh, maybe not that way. But I think we might have actually been successfully timely this time. So we're recording at a point that is timely. And if our back of an envelope maths actually works out, this episode will also release at a time that is timely.
I mean, it won't, let's be honest.
No, because there's no way that we will correctly predict Games Workshop's release schedule, but we might do.
We might do.
So, having correctly predicted that the Lionel Johnson, would be the Primarch, the next Loyalist Primarch coming back for Games Workshop's Warhammer 40k.
Well, actually, we didn't quite get it right, because we said for 10th edition.
He is for 10th edition, though. Like, I know he's closing out. I know he's closing out 9th, but actually that's a 10th edition release.
I think what happened is Games Workshop listened to our podcast and we're going to screw with those guys. So.
We'll show these two people specifically.
Joke's on them, because we've now timed this episode perfectly for the actual release of Lionel Johnson.
So his model released for pre-order 2 days ago? Saturday,
yeah. Which I tried to access 15 minutes after, and the website was completely bogged. So
that was really funny. It was handled with characteristic Games Workshop style, so they didn't order enough models, and they were all bought by scalpers, which was great.
Yeah, but I don't know about how much I believe that.
Well, there are a lot of them on eBay for 250 quid.
Yeah, maybe.
So
it's just such an odd thing to scalp, in my opinion. I don't really get scalping at the best of times, but
this is the conversation that you and I were having, though, because I sort of don't. Well, I don't approve of scalping. I'm never going to approve of scalping. I think scalpers are taking advantage of some of the worst elements of humanity. But also, if someone's willing to pay 250 quid for a piece of plastic that in 3 months' time they'd be able to buy for 30 quid, I feel like that's kind of on them. It's not a limited edition. It's not a limited release. Indomitus, it might be slightly different, but literally, the Lion model will release, if we've timed this correctly, in about 6 weeks' time. And you'll just be able to buy it. I
sort of get what you're saying, but the issue is that that's kind of always true. Well, not always, of course. There are, I guess, limited edition things. I don't really know how much of a problem scalping is for limited edition materials.
Quite bad. It's quite bad.
I would assume so, yeah. But I feel that in particular companies should just do a better job of limiting the number of purchases or something.
Limit the number of purchases, require you to have made a verified account beforehand. Limit your number of purchases to one per address, one per delivery address, not one per account. And if it's a real problem, do made to order and increase the price by 10%. There, done.
So I'm sort of with you in that people are just so impatient nowadays, right?
That's my issue.
It's just when the Xbox came out and the PS5 came out and stuff, it's like, oh, whatever will we do now that we can't get our hands on these consoles because it's been, scalped, etc. Like, but it's not that big a deal. Just wait, don't buy them off eBay when when you're just feeding the problem.
Scalping is something that is entirely within the gift of the community to fix. That's the other side of it. Just don't buy them. Scalpers will go out of business in like 2 release cycles if you just don't buy them. But anyway,
it's a niche market, right? Because you'd assume that it's not the super rich who go on eBay to buy their PS5s. That somehow doesn't feel right.
I don't really understand who is buying.
There may be something much more nefarious going on,
maybe. That's the other thing. Some of it could just be money laundering.
Well, exactly.
But yeah, I don't know who's paying for, 1,200 quid for a PS5.
Or 250 quid for, a plastic model of Lionel Johnson,
And 3 off-meta Blade Guard.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit. I know we're delaying the Wake Up As because I think we both have no clue what we're going to do. But currently, the Lion is being released as this model with 3 random Blade Guards.
Mm.
My understanding, though, is that when he actually gets released, you can just buy him on his own, which honestly just feels... Well, I guess you have to work out the price a little bit. Maybe the Blade Guard come at a reduced cost because they're bundled with him. I don't know, but...
I think it boils down to Games Workshop made a load of Blade Guard sprues and have been shoving them in every box set they can get their hands on because no one wants to buy them, which is a shame because I've got some of them and they're very nice models.
I'll say, yeah, I've seen yours and I've seen the actual ones. There's just so many options you could have picked from a Dark Angels specific.
Yeah.
Set that why go for like generic Marines? It just feels a little bit odd.
Because if you release, like, for example, new Deathwing, they'll sell on their own.
Yeah,
you can sell everything for more.
That is the answer, but just package him with like some random DA vets or something. Just get some robes going.
That feels like the answer, doesn't it? Just a tactical squad and a Dark Angels upgrade sprue.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not, I don't know, Blade Guard veterans. Because I don't think they even come with DA upgrade sprues, so you're making just vanilla Blade Guards.
Yeah, and the vanilla ones, let's be honest, they pretty much just look like Ultramarines. Well, they don't look like anything. They're just...
No, exactly.
They've got no tailoring whatsoever.
Yeah. And it's the benefit of the Dark Angels, I guess. You just paint them in, like, the sort of bone white or black or green, and they will look authentic enough.
That's fair. It's not like trying to do Blood Angels or something where they've all got to have weird, like, silly Blood Angels
extra stuff. Yeah
yeah.
With the Dark Angels, if they're not wearing a robe, they're just a regular dude,
exactly,
and everyone's kind of fine with it. The hierarchy in the Dark Angels is if you don't have any robes, you're probably not going to last.
You are the cannon fodder.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So give us a bit of colour to this. So
yeah, I mean, so cannon fodder is not a bad segue, actually. So I was reading up a little bit on the storyline of 40k in general and sort of what's been happening, and it's chaotic to say the least.
Hey.
Ezekiel or Ezekiel, I don't really know how you would say that.
Ezekiel.
Yeah, it's just spelt weird, isn't it? Like, I guess.
Yeah, but it's definitely Ezekiel.
He was always going to fall to chaos with a name spelt like that. But yeah, Ezekiel Abaddon, or Abaddon, depending on how you want to say that as well. He's just confusing all around, that guy. But yeah, he launches the 13th Black Crusade, and it's actually for once, like a decent crusade. He does something. He achieves something.
Well, he breaks the Cadian Gate.
He does well. Yes, I mean it costs him a lot, but he does manage it.
As I understand it, and I think you've been looking into this more recently than I have. What Abaddon did was throw a star fort at a planet.
Yeah, so you had a Blackstone fortress,
which is like a moon-sized star fort built by some precursor race.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he was just going to use the guns because, why wouldn't you? But then the Imperial Fists show up, as they do, and destroyed said guns. And he clearly just thought, well, joke's on you. I'm just going to throw the whole thing at the damn planet. And so
if I can't play with it, no one can.
Exactly.
The ultimate throwing your toys out of the pram and at a planet.
Well, I guess the question remains if it's still intact. It might well be.
Potentially.
But the planet very much isn't. So Cadia exploded.
Yeah, and so Cadia was the sort of major defense against these crusades from essentially hell.
Yeah, it was literally the gateway to hell, for lack of a better description. Like, it's the one planet that stood between reality and the Eye of Terror, which is where all crazy chaos shenanigans seem to be holed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Cadia is blown up, which created a whole load of bloody problems for everyone involved.
It split the galaxy in half, didn't it? There's this great Circatix Maledictum, or whatever it's called, which is essentially a rift into the warp, into hell, that cuts through the middle of the Milky Way, splits the Imperium in two.
Yeah, it splits the Imperium in two, which for the Imperium is obviously a big issue, and the sort of the light of the Emperor is lost on the far side.
Well, it's lost throughout the entire Imperium first, and then they re-establish it in the non-terrible bit.
Because the psychic shock is just so huge. There's also like a really brief thing which I haven't got any closure on yet, but like someone decides that the Emperor's actually dying. Like, the Golden Throne can't be repaired and stuff. It's like
I've read those books, so that's in the Vaults of Terror series. I don't know how canon those are. Well, everything is canon, not everything is true, to quote Dan Abnett or Aaron
but he would say that because he has to fucking fix the mess.
It's one of the big Black Library writers, right? There might have been like Graham McNeil or someone said that way back when, but essentially the idea is that everything that is written in the Black Library exists and is like true for the people in it, but not all of it. It's not objectively true.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, in the Vaults of Terror series, the AdMech, the Adeptus Mechanicus, discover that the Golden Throne is failing, essentially.
Yeah.
So they get in touch with the Dark Eldar to see if the Dark Eldar are capable of repairing the throne, because the throne is an Eldar construct with human additions. And it doesn't go particularly well for, anyone, really.
I mean, shocking that, really.
Because it turns out that the Dark Eldar they've built their own version of the Golden Throne, and they were going to take some genetic residue material from the bits that the AdMech gave them to run tests on to clone and rebuild a proxy of the Emperor to power their own version of the Golden Throne to enable them to leave Comora. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, one day we should tackle something like the Dark Eldar, because I think they're really, really interesting, but in a completely messed up, inscrutable way.
Yeah, well, also, that's a sentence that has just come out of my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense as well.
What?
Somehow.
The Black Library is amazing.
The Black Library is amazing.
It's just completely sorry. So yes, the Golden Throne may or may not be failing.
Yeah, regardless. I mean, so the universe, the galaxy is split in half. And it's sort of around this point that they were like, right, shit's getting real, so let's bring back Rabute.
Yeah, into this galaxy of terror and chaos comes Mr. Bland himself.
Julius Caesar. Because
Julius,
who we need.
Julius
we need
Caesar in space. To be fair, I give him a lot of shit. Like, there are so many reasons why he is the correct Primarch to have come back and the one that the Imperium needs. But he's just very boring.
I also joke at his expense, but he wakes up after 10,000 years of slumber and then instantly like starts murdering efficiently. So
the first thing, I think his first act on waking up is to throw a Black Legion Terminator through 6 pillars.
Yeah.
Just picks this like 2-ton lad up and chucks him across the room. Which
Exactly.
Is
Whereas I feel like I would have probably stretched a little bit. You know.
I'd have asked for a coffee.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I'm assuming that happened. Otherwise, he's just not human. I mean, I know he's a Primarch and all, but
Maybe,
there are some things that I don't believe.
Maybe it was sort of, when sometimes when you wake up and you have that initial like mad burst of energy and you leap out of bed and start pottering around the kitchen at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then 20 minutes later you go, "Oh, good God, I need a coffee." Maybe it was just that.
Exactly. That Terminator just timed it really badly. Like, you should have waited for him to be post coffee, and then it would have only been 4 pillars.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
the whole reason I sort of went back this far is to essentially say, the 13th Black Crusade by Abaddon and co. really messed shit up.
Yeah,
we saw another battle for Terra, which obviously hadn't happened in a long time. Khorne got very angry that it was such a disaster for Chaos.
It was slightly bungled.
And then in the midst of all that, the Tyranids just show up, because that's what the Tyranids do, and very nearly take out all the Blood Angels and their successor chapters, and very bad things would have happened if they got a hold of the gene seed there.
The big fear there is that they were on Baal, which is the Blood Angels' homeworld, which is also the tomb world of Sanguinius, and there was a very real concern that they might eat Sanguinius and thus absorb his DNA.
The slight issue I have with that is that they've absorbed Blood Angels, and I'm pretty sure if there's anyone in the galaxy who is like any race that is like an expert in genetics, it's probably the Tyranids. So I feel they could easily reverse engineer Sanguinius's stuff.
Potentially, but none of the Blood Angels have wings.
No, but a lot of Tyranids do, so I'm sure they can just fill in the blanks. It's like Jurassic Park. You just add a little bit of frog to your dinosaur, and there you go.
My point was more, I think the gap between Sanguinius and the rest of the Blood Angels might be larger than between some other Primarchs and their sons.
I mean, wings are also expensive. I don't see the mechanic of making wings for everyone. If Sanguinius, sure, you can have some wings, but because they're totally not biological, they're obviously just props, mate.
Obviously.
Why on earth would he have wings? He's a human.
Well, I think this is a question that he often asks himself. Why do I have wings? This doesn't make sense.
And also, the Emperor's just shaking his head going, just take them off, mate. It's not that big a deal.
They've got like a clip on them, mate. You just take them off.
Just press that button. Anyway.
There's a great scene. There's a great scene in one of the Siege of Terra books where Sanguinius is flying around like stabbing titans in the eye or something, and he's just running the calculations in his head for how big his breastbone would actually need to be in order to support the musculature for wings that would actually enable him to fly. Do you know how birds have that elongated breastbone that their flight muscles? And it needs to be like 3 meters long. And he just sort of looks down at his chest and goes, "Huh. Oh well, it's probably fine."
Well, I guess there's proof that Sanguinius is a bit of an idiot. Anyway, the Nids show up, bad stuff happens, and in what becomes very quickly the theme of anything post Cadia blowing up is that shit gets really bad, and then Rabute Guilliman shows up with just hordes of Ultramarines and other Space Marine chapters to save the day. Although in the case of Baal, there's also something to be said for, certain Khorne demons to also show up and do stuff, but that's entirely unclear what happens there.
There's a real element of, if I can't have them, no one can, going on with Khorne and the Blood Angels, isn't there?
Yeah, there really is. Because, like, one of the premier Khorne demons shows up and seemingly takes care of a lot of the Tyranids. Also, like a warp storm, which usually means there's some sort of chaos involvement. But yeah, so Guilliman's essentially he just sort of shows up anywhere at all times. casually also tells Dante to, take charge of Imperium Nihilus, which I think is just hilarious.
You're in charge of half the galaxy now. Bye.
Yeah, and by the way, it's the shit half. So enjoy.
But I wanted to die. Nope.
Go there when no one can hear you, so we don't have to listen to your whining about this whole death thing. Also, new Dante coming out around about the same time as the Lion, presumably. So
Yippee!
that's gonna be great.
I've got one coming.
Yeah, for you. I mean, I don't really care that much, but for Blood Angels players, it's great.
We're all very happy.
Yes. So, and then, a lot of other stuff happens. There's like the War of the Beasts that commences and all sorts of shenanigans. So Chaos essentially is very active at this point in time. But obviously everyone else is as well. The Tau expand massively because they're like, all these humans have fucked off to somewhere else, so why don't we take over? The Tyranids are doing their thing. The Necrons are necroning. I don't really know what the Necrons do. They just revive and do stuff and then go away again. And what's I think really odd about this whole storyline is how the Eldar seem to be very much guiding the Imperium through a lot of this, which is quite odd. I guess it's also where that bizarre Yvrain Rabute storyline has come from, but that's for another day.
Can we please just not touch that one?
No, it's fine. But ultimately what happens is a new demon shows up by the name of Vashtor.
Which we've spoken about before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Vashtor the Archifane.
Yeah, because it's like a magnificent name.
It's so good.
Vashtor the Archifane.
He
unleashes the Arcs of Omen on the galaxy. Like, it's great. Like, this guy knows.
He was in the Wrath of the Soul Forge King. King Forge. Box. Like, yeah, Games Workshop know how to name things.
This guy is just, he's like, I'm here, I'm magnificent, everyone fear me.
Gaze upon me.
But so, essentially, he's hunting for relics. The nature of these relics is somewhat unclear to me. It's to complete this weapon known as the Key, which supposedly will kill the Imperium. There's a lot of, just take my word for it stuff here, I feel like.
It's a bit 50-50, I think.
Yeah, but it's quite nice, because it's actually... What I like about this 13th Crusade and the Aftermath is that there's a lot of quote-unquote cooperation between the various Chaos factions. I think Abaddon's actually doing quite a nice job of trying to keep shit together. And Vashtor seems to be very organized. Even Angron has actually shown, like, tactical nous. Like, he's not just some crazy demon. Like, he actually still has a brain.
Yeah.
It's just quite interesting to see, I think.
And I guess we've had a bit of that with the, like, Plague War trilogy as well, which is Mortarion and against Guilliman, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, Chaos seems to be getting its shit together a bit.
Yeah, very much so. And it's kind of scary, because Vashtor is actually quite successful at doing whatever he's trying to do. Like, the Imperium is really getting pushed back at many places. But ultimately, the real build-up, I think, when everyone sort of figured, oh yeah, the Lion's probably coming back, is when the Dark Angels... they're on their way to rescue something, or like relieve a siege or something, because they show up with like virtually the entire chapter fleet. It's kind of nuts, because obviously the Dark Angels don't really have a homeworld anymore, so they fly around in their fortress monastery called the Rock, because they've obviously got great naming conventions. And
don't they have like 2 Gloriana classes as well, still functioning?
Probably. They
like
lose a lot in this battle.
I feel like they've still got the Invincible Reason and another one.
It doesn't say. I mean, they lose one. They lose the Revenged, the Silent Sentinel, Primarch's Roar, Obsidian Sword, and the Valiant Ire. Like, all quite big warships. So they lose a lot in this ensuing battle.
Sorry, no, that was just a half-remembered thing of reading about how the Dark Angels still have a stupid fleet, and part of that comes from how stupid their fleet was, like 10,000 years ago, and they had more big battleships than anyone else. But
yeah, the First Legion shenanigans, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And this is another one. So essentially they're trying to relieve some system, and Vashtor ambushes them. Right. So he ambushes the rock itself, and he boards the rock with just a huge army of chaos and all sorts of nastiness. And like all the Dark Angel named heroes are there because, you know, that's one way to ensure that at least some people survive, because plot armor is thick. And yeah, like a lot of shit happens. It's so I guess the reason Vashtor does this is he thinks that there's like a part of this key on the rock itself.
Yeah.
How he knows all of this is a bit beyond me, but you know, I just need to read Arcs of Omen actually.
Warp fuckery, I think.
Yeah, warp fuckery, exactly. But like it just becomes like street fighting in the rock, and this is another one where there's like it's really unclear because there's supposed to only be 1,000 Marines per chapter, right? But the sort of numbers that are alluded to here, because they're like, oh, half the legion's there, so that's 500 Marines. But then it sounds like thousands and thousands of them die. It's really weird.
Don't the Unforgiven operate as a full legion though?
Yeah, exactly. It's difficult.
It's a bit like the chapters of the Blood for the Blood Angels, but because it's the Dark Angels, more secretive and also more not okay.
Yeah, but they also have all these successor chapters, so it's just unclear.
But my point is the successor chapters are directly subservient to Azrael and the Blood Angels, or the Dark Angels High Command. But
the way it's written is like, I don't think they're there.
Who knows?
It does seem to be specifically Dark Angels and a lot of Deathwing and Ravenwing, for which the numbers also make no sense because like it's always Deathwing and Ravenwing, and they're only like two companies of it. Anyway, that's another debate again.
Yeah, let's do that one later.
So Vashtor shows up to try and do stuff. Luther obviously escapes at some point throughout all this. And then what I find really amusing is that Azrael, so the Supreme Grand Master of the Dark Angels, fights Vashtor, and he's like losing pretty handily until Be'lakor just shows up, and Vashtor's like, oh, I should probably deal with that.
So for the people listening who have absolutely no clue what we're talking about, Be'lakor is just another demon.
Yeah, he's like all shadowy and cool. The Dark Master. That's what people call him. And so yeah, Vashtor clearly doesn't like this guy, and I'm guessing the feeling's mutual. So they start to fight, and then slowly but surely things just change. And then of course, as is the theme, as I said before, the Ultramarines show up and win the day. So we are in a situation where the Dark Angels were like fully crippled off the back of this, and then you wake up as Lionel Johnson, who is in the Rock. Well, he may or may not be in the Rock. That's where he supposedly is. Only Azrael knows, and the Weird Watchers in the Dark, who I'm sure won't turn out to be.
Does Azrael know? I thought Azrael didn't know.
He's apparently the only. Or did he? Was he the only one who knew that Luther was there?
Yeah. So as I understood
only the
it
Watchers
before,
know that. Yeah.
Only the
Lion's
Watchers
there.
know about Lion, but the Supreme Grand Master knows about or knew about Luther.
Yeah.
Because Luther, First of the Fallen, has Luther being interviewed by Grandmasters of the Dark Angels.
Yeah, exactly. So they know.
Mm-hmm. But anyway,
so the Lion may or may not have been awake for some time and forest walking, because that's a new thing that we all know about, of course.
He can just sort of teleport to any forest anywhere in the galaxy.
Yeah, he just sort of travels the warp, I guess.
Astral projection,
quote unquote. Who knows? I'm learning a lot about 40k recently. I've just sort of learned that living saints are just kind of Imperial demon princes, and I don't know how I feel about it.
That's a good one. What happens to Celestine every time she dies and is reborn is particularly horrific.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just going into the insanity that is 40k. We can do another time. We're half an hour into this episode entitled "You Wake Up as Lionel Johnson." So should we actually just wake up?
We've woken up.
What do we do?
Yeah, well, so you wake up with the Dark Angels in a bit of a state. You wake up with Luther gone. You wake up with the Imperium in complete and utter ruin.
Mm-hmm.
You wake up with chaos rampant.
Right.
And worst of all, I think you wake up with nobody other than Roboute Guilliman as, of your brothers alive.
Yeah,
and Fulgrim and Angron.
I've got no peers on my side except Guilliman, do I?
You've got Guilliman, and then what I always find really odd about these guys waking up is that Lion will wake up and look at Azra and go like, "Who the fuck are you? And why have you got my helmet?" Then he'll probably meet someone
my helmet back, please.
And then Guilliman, he'll be like, "Oh, I can maybe respect you." Then he'll meet people like Dante and be like, "Who the fuck is this guy? Why do I care that you might be a big deal? You're just not to me." Because Primarchs are just on a whole different level of shithousery.
That's true. I mean, Guilliman shows respect to Dante, but that's sort of because Guilliman takes the time to find out about him and like ask around, who's a big dog. I don't know that the Lion would do that because I don't think he'd care.
I don't think he'd care. He just, I really don't see him particularly caring about that sort of stuff. The Imperium's fucked. Roboute's doing some stuff. He's more or less crowned himself like Lord Ruler of the Imperium, hasn't he? So that's potentially something to worry about.
He's Imperial Regent, which is definitely Uncle Malcador's title and not yours, Guilliman. So not sure how I feel about that. Although we don't hate each other as much as the fandom would have you believe.
This is something with the Lion. I just don't think he.
I don't know that I care.
I don't think he hates any of them as such. Maybe the Night Haunter once upon a time.
He hates Conrad,
but I think he just dislikes everything.
I just don't think Guilliman is Lord Regent of the Imperium or whatever. I think my reaction, if I wake up as Lionel Johnson and I discover that, I don't think I care because Guilliman can go and rule the Imperium.
See, I think you do care because I think my response would be, so you're Lord, you're like the Lord Regent of fuck all right now because
sorry,
we only have half an Imperium left at best.
No, I think that I agree with. My point was I don't think I'd be going, well, I want that job. I think I'd go.
I don't think he does. I don't think he does.
I don't care who gets to wear the laurel crown, right? We've got to sort this problem, and it's a problem that you appear to have created. Or allowed to subsist.
Yeah. So I feel Guilliman comes back and his focus is on sort of re-establishing the Imperium. My gut feeling with Lion is that he comes back and that's not his primary focus. I think his primary focus is putting out the fires that are chaos.
I think,
etc.
I think that's right. I think I'm writing a list of asses that need kicked. Essentially,
we are the Lion here. Yeah. So my first order of business is not. I don't care about imperial politics. I don't really care about reestablishing the Imperium per se at this point. I'm going to take names, right?
So.
Ezekiel dead.
I think
Angron dead. Mortarion dead. I want them all dead.
Problem is you've named one person you can kill and 3 people you probably can't.
Yeah, but you can probably banish them.
And you say, I don't care about the state of the Imperium. I a little bit think that I might. Like, I don't know.
Let me rephrase that. I think I don't think you were going to restore the Imperium by going on the crusade that I think Roboute is going on. I think you restore the Imperium by actively hunting down like the big players in Chaos. And apparently I can forest walk, so I feel like I can fight in the warp. I don't really know what I mean by that, but I feel like I might actually be convinced I could kill Angron, for example.
Potentially, or at least banish him and
like far,
kick him back down a decent way. I almost wonder though if I go and have a little word with Trajan Valoris, the Captain General of the Adeptus Custodes.
Yeah.
And go, all right, you've got good records that go back a long, long way. Where's Vulcan? If anyone knows where Vulcan is, the Custodes know.
So you would try to get more Primarchs back?
I feel like having Vulcan around would be useful.
Oh, specifically Vulcan, okay.
Specifically Vulcan. Well, he's sort of the only loyalist that I can easily put my hands on. Based on our conversation. Like, based on the last time we spoke about Primarchs. Russ, somewhere in the warp. The Khan, somewhere in the warp. Corax, if I see Corax, probably killing him because he looks like a demon.
Yeah, but you see, again, somewhere in the warp, I feel if you're the lion, this is where this whole forest walking thing is just a bit nuts.
Yeah, I'm not buying this, though. I'm not having this, turns out that the lion can forest walk, so he can just go anywhere he wants. Like, it doesn't...
Yeah, but...
It feels wrong. I don't like it. It feels like a crutch.
The Watchers are just weird.
Maybe the Watchers is the answer. It feels like... But it's sort of... Vulcan is tangible. I, Sean... know that Vulcan is just sitting on a planet somewhere farming. Right? I feel like the Custodes would know where he is. I'm getting that name out of Trajan Valoris. I'm getting the name of that planet. I'm hopping on the Invincible Reason. And I'm going there and I'm going, oi, alright, you've had your break. Get some armour on. Pick up your feckin' hammer. We've got some smacking to do. Also, can you build me a new sword? Because apparently I don't have a sword.
No, he's got a great sword.
It's called... Yeah, no, I don't want that. I want either the Lion Sword or I want a sword made for me by Vulcan.
The fact that it's called fealty is a bit odd, isn't it?
It's so weird.
It's very on the nose.
It's the whole loyalty as its own reward thing that he's got going on.
See, I wouldn't go for Vulcan. No. I know where my sword is. If I want my sword back, I'm going to go and get it.
But do you? Cypher's got it.
Yeah, I know.
But do you know where Cypher is? Yeah, but I can't be able to hunt Cypher. That's boring.
But
Cypher will come to me eventually.
You start that. This is Lionel Johnson, right? The man who literally chased the Night Haunter around the galaxy. Like, I'm gonna go on a hunt.
True.
And I'll start with the first one. I'll start with fucking Vastor because he invaded the rock.
That's getting... Vastor's getting absolutely spanked back into the warp. No questions asked.
And then you just work your way up the chain, you know?
Maybe.
Until one of these damn traitors is going to tell me where Cypher is.
What do you do about...
Given that we wake up as Gilliman, right? So we do have some knowledge, some prior knowledge. I would be tempted to go to Terra and have a little word with Daddy. And be tell me about Cypher because I kind of want my sword back.
I would definitely be going to Terra first. I think probably on the ship I'm building a little list of questions that I want to ask people on Terra. Where's Vulcan? I feel like knowing where Vulcan is useful information. All right, I might not get him straight away, but
but I feel I wouldn't restrict myself if you'd ask around for everyone.
Like if it turns out that Vulcan's planet is just, 2 stops on a different tube line on the way to where Cadia used to be, I'm going to take that detour to pick him up.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But equally, I feel if someone says, "Oh, by the way, Lehman Russ is over there,"
he can probably stay where he is for a little bit.
No, man, there's duels to be had.
As to be fair, we do need to punch each other a little bit first.
The Imperium can't be restored if we don't punch each other a little bit.
Can we just a little bit deal with the fact that Gilliman has come back as hasn't aged a day, completely, the image of Julius Caesar but with hair, the returning conqueror, conquering hero, avenging son, all of that. The Lion has come back looking like a cross between Tywin Lannister and Davos Seaworth. It's amazing. He's just the most grumpy old man.
It's perfect, isn't it? Like, what a great job to get him so extra. But I feel like that's how he's always looked. Somehow.
Yeah.
I think they look exactly the same. I can't remember who disappears. I think the Lion goes first, right?
Out of the
this whole
survivors.
reboot.
Yeah. I think so.
because he rushes back to Caliban, and then everything's fucked, and he goes. And I think Gilliman survives for a bit longer. So I think my first question to Gilliman would be like, how are you alive? Like, what the fuck happened to you?
Explain.
Yeah, that sounded very Dalek. That was interesting.
Yeah, my voice has become a little bit croaky over the last 45 minutes. It's not quite as silky as it was.
The thing is, I fundamentally don't really care what Gilliman's up to. Well, it's not that I don't care, but I know that Gilliman's probably quite competent, as you say. He's a pretty good one to have.
That's my theory, right? If it's me in Lionel Johnson's body, one, upgrade, thank you, but two, like I know that
you feel dwarfed by him.
Even me. I know that actually Gilliman is the right guy to have at the head of the Imperium.
Yeah, and given that he seems to always show up in time to actually save the situation, I'm kind of confident that he'll keep doing that.
Yeah.
So I think that, again, just buys me time to go and deal with some shit.
What are you doing about the Fallen?
Yeah, this is where I just have a frank conversation with Daddy and be like, so tell me what's up with this. I think I also send out a sort of galaxy-wide communique being like, for those who genuinely pledged, because I know from the lore that there are some Fallen who would seek forgiveness from the Lion and no one but the Lion. So I would try to welcome those guys back.
Aren't some of the Fallen are pro-Lion but anti-Emperor, aren't they?
Yeah. So I would ask for them to come back, because ultimately I just really want to know how they're still alive after 10,000 years.
Yeah, what's going on there? That's quite impressive.
Like, how are you not chaos, but you're still here?
I think that's right.
And then I would hope that Cypher comes out to just have a little chat about what on earth he's planning.
Well, I think Cypher's a loyalist.
Me too.
I personally, I think Cypher is a Lion loyalist.
Me too, but I just don't know what his views are on the Imperium as a whole.
You know who else I try and find? And this is going quite as a deep cut to Dan Abnett lore. The King in Yellow.
Remind me, that rings a bell.
So the King in Yellow is a shadowy...
Horus Heresy, isn't it?
No. It's a shadowy figure in the Bequin trilogy, which is the sequel trilogy to the Ravenor trilogy.
Yes, that's right.
But
that's right.
The last page of the last book of the Bequin trilogy gives you the King in Yellow's name, or one of the names that they think might be the King in Yellow's name, and it's Constantine Valdor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if Valdor is still around, probably want to have a chat with him, because there's a theory out there, I don't know how well supported it is by the Bequin books, that Valdor, if he is the King in Yellow, is working to kill the version of the Emperor that is sitting on the Golden Throne, in the theory that the Emperor is a perpetual who will reincarnate, and the Golden Throne is preventing him from dying and thus reincarnating.
That's a theory that I actually really like.
I really like that theory as well.
The Golden Throne is a prison.
Exactly, yeah. It's not keeping him alive, it's stopping him from coming back.
One of these days we will have to talk about old Uncle Malcador and how I think he's the ruinous power behind what has happened. And
now there's a theory.
He might well be Chaos's biggest agent we've ever seen. Certainly most successful. So yeah, okay, Valdor would be quite nice to find.
He's also, I feel like if you have the right if it is Valdor, and it's not confirmed that it's him, it's just a throwaway line from the book, and also it's only Dan Abnett. But if it is Valdor, he's a big fucking deal in the 30k books. He's the Primarch equivalent for the Adeptus Custodes.
Yeah, which is saying something.
Yeah. Like, he reckons he could take some of the Primarchs, which is ridiculous.
I mean, outside shout, I think the King of Yellow might well be the Emperor himself as well. But then I sometimes quite like the idea that everyone important is the Emperor, just in different guises.
I do quite like this theory that actually any time anyone unexplained appears in the books, it's just a projection of the Emperor.
Exactly. He's just Luke Skywalkering all over the place.
Right.
I don't know. I'm still not sold on trying to sort of Easter egg hunt.
You don't want to Empire build an Easter egg hunt, do you? You want to go and start chopping heads.
No, because I feel that Gilliman's kind of got that. I think he'll be okay, especially now. Now I think is the time to just hit chaos hard, right? So I'm going to open all my toys from the Dark Age of the technology that no one knows I still have.
That's
with
true.
My 2 gigantic battleships that are going to be essentially unbeatable, and not to mention the rock itself. And I'm just gonna go for it. To tell you who I probably would try and speak to is someone Eldar. Don't necessarily know who, but I feel if anyone's gonna have smart ideas on how to like contain the Eye of Terror that is now a giant curtain, it's gonna be them.
I don't think I trust the Eldar though. Do you know who I go and try and speak to if that's what we're trying to do? The Silent King.
Yeah, fair point. He would be up there, yeah.
So that's a Necron.
Or Trazen.
Or Trazen. Right, Trazen's going to put me in a box, though. Ooh, a Primarch. Thank you.
Yeah, but, I'd like to see him try.
Would you?
I assume that we wake up as Lionel Johnson with his martial prowess, right?
Yeah, but Trazen's got, like, Crocs and stuff.
Yeah, fuck it. I'm Lionel Johnson, mate. I don't care.
I think Croc, like a proto-Croc, outfights Vulcan, so I'm not convinced by that one. But anyway, I think
the Silent King I think would be very interesting to speak to.
I think Eldrad Ulthran,
yeah, who's
the Craft World Ulthway, Farseer, and essentially like big dog psychic dude.
Well, I mean, I recently sent you something from Reddit that, from someone having decided that they wanted to paint Ulthway as their first army, and is like, why is everyone talking about this Farseer dude? And it was just a comment that essentially says, oh, he does this, and he's like really cool, and so on, and he does all these amazing things, and he seems to always have like a good motivation. But he's still a dick because it's 40k. It's like, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I think he might be a good person to speak to, but the problem is, I think, in a way, he might be a bit too much like the Emperor in that kind of, he might help me, but his view is going to be so long term that he's not going to care if his plan gets me killed.
Yeah, but do I care about?
Well, yeah, because you'll be the one that dies.
Being killed, yeah. And I guess in the rules we set out as you wake up as Joffrey, the not dying is pretty fundamental.
Yeah, but I also think fundamentally, as Lionel Johnson, you are going to believe that the best hope for humanity is you being alive. Like, you'll sell your life dearly if you need to, but you're not going to do it at some Eldar Farseer's whim.
Yeah. Ulthran's not a...
He's not a bad shout. I think
he's not a bad shout, but you're right. His term would be... His vision would be very long term. I think you probably want to try and speak to Ivrain or get into the Black Library.
I don't know enough about Ivrain, though. You're probably right.
Given that she sort of conspired to bring back Gilliman, I feel she has some sort of... Not necessarily pro-Imperium plan, but an anti-chaos plan, right?
Is she Inari?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
She's like the Inari, right?
I genuinely don't know the Gilliman coming back and all the Inari stuff. I didn't follow.
Yeah, there was. I think that was Ulthran, right? Who sort of.
I think he
allowed
was involved.
The Inari to become a thing. or enabled them to become something or other. But yeah, I don't know much about them because it's a really interesting faction, I think, from a game mechanic, because you get to just collect Harlequins, Eldar, and Drukhari, which I think is quite fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like I want to speak to someone non-human, and I don't think the Tau are going to be much help. Honestly, I think Necrons are not a bad choice, and I think the Eldar.
See, I actually think. Wow. I think if you can find a way to have a chat with the Silent King, I think that's really good, because he is meant to have been like respectful of Sanguinius. They are meant to have met, and his reaction to Sanguinius was, yeah, he's not a bad dude. So if you can be like, I'm Sanguinius' big brother, you might get something out of him, and he might be able to be like, oh yeah, this is how you close the Eye of Terror. John, job done, don't worry about it. I'll do that on a Tuesday. Yeah. It's no big deal.
Yeah. When I've got a free lunch hour, I'll help you sort that out.
I'll get Trazen to do it. Don't worry about it. I think bitch slapping Abaddon across the galaxy just has to go quite high up your to-do list. Apart from anything else, because I feel like it'd be really easy. Like, Abaddon is just a space marine. I'm scared of his sword.
He's got a fancy sword,
but he's also just a space marine.
Well, yeah, I mean, chaos infused, but yes, he is just a space marine. Yeah,
I can punch space marines' heads off.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm right there with you. I think you bitch slap Abaddon. Like, there's no two ways about it.
Yeah, I think you do that, because I think if you bitch slap Abaddon, you probably need to do something about Huron Blackheart as well. But like, you can just do, like, especially if the forest walking works as you think it does, essentially surgical strikes, go in, boom, chop Abaddon in half, boom, chop Huron in half.
Isn't that a terrifying concept? Imagine if at any point in time, a warp rift could open up behind you and Lionel Johnson strides out,
sword and shield in
kills
hand.
You. It's terrifying.
That's quite scary.
If I were Abaddon, I'd be scared. I'd probably just run back into the warp and stay there for some time. Yeah.
I think you could do a huge amount of damage to the Black Legion and sort of chaos as a whole, just with a few surgical strikes like that. Because the moment you take out Abaddon, the 13th Black Crusade falls apart, because he's the only thing holding it together.
Yes. Now, the slight issue I have with taking out all the Chaos Legions is then the Tyranids really do become an even bigger problem.
The Tyranids are a huge problem, and I don't have a solution to the Tyranids.
I think if you can somehow circularize the rift, have it become the boundary of the galaxy, so the Nids have to always punch through chaos first, I'd be quite happy with that.
It's not a bad idea, but aren't they coming from above and below as well?
Yeah, you need to spherically, surround the galaxy. I don't think it necessarily works, but
I don't think it does.
But I like the idea of using chaos as a shield for the Tyranids. It feels poetic somehow.
Isn't the best shield for the Tyranids the Necrons?
Yeah, but I just don't understand how the Necrons work well enough,
Potentially.
Like, I just don't really get them. Again, the Silent King, I'm sure, can explain a few things.
Like, I feel like I just say, can I borrow a tachyon arrow? Like, and throw it at the Tyranids. Like, the Necron power level just makes no sense.
Yeah.
They can pop stars. They just that star doesn't exist anymore. Bye.
Yeah, there's definitely some like old one throwback.
Yeah,
fuckery.
There is
that deals with the Necrons, and I feel ultimately they would annihilate a Tyranid threat that faced them.
They would, but I just don't think they. The problem is they're very antithetical to organic life. They are sort of like, you've made this comparison before, they're very like the Reapers from Mass Effect. So, yeah, they can annihilate the Tyranids, but they're probably going to take out most of the Imperium at the same time.
Yeah, they would do that. And also, I don't really know what happens if Tyranids consume
I don't think they can.
What's it world? Well, yeah, because they're not biomass, right? Like,
No,
there's
they're
nothing to
entirely-
consume. Like, they could consume everything else on the planet, but the Necrons would still just be there, I think.
They're entirely inorganic. That's definitely true. I don't know what you do with the Tyranids. I think they're very scary.
I honestly think if I wake up as the Lion tomorrow, I would ignore the Tyranids.
I think that's the answer. I think it's a slow burn threat. What you do is you task Belisarius Cole with stop making like new stupid guns for your Primaris Space Marines. That's a Termagant, because I caught you one. I need you to build me a virus that kills that and only that.
That's a battle you're just not going to win, though.
Because they're organic. They're like...
They will outcompete your...
That's not what I need to do. That's not what I need to do. What I need to do is I need to get hold of Mephiston. And I bring... I catch a synapse creature. Something that's connected to the hive mind. And I basically go, Mephiston,
yeah,
got a job for you,
idea.
buddy. I need you to break the hive mind. You've got access to all of the psychos you could want.
That's the thing. But I think the combined psychic might of the Imperium is not going to cut it against the hive mind.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm basing that on, but
maybe.
But given the hive mind clearly exists outside this galaxy and still somehow operates within it, it's just scarily big.
I wonder what happens if you turn the light of the Astronomicon on it. Can you burn it?
Well, but again, this is one of the questions I'm asking Daddy Emps, right? It's like, so about this whole Tyranid thing, what's going on there? And the answer is, of course, oh, that's just me.
Oh yeah, that's actually my end game.
Yeah, I am the Tyranids. I got bored with humanity. So.
Humanity, that was always a side project.
Yeah. No, the twist is that he'll eventually mutate them back into humans, right, at the end.
Oh, of course, sorry, humanids, I forgot.
So no, I think you go. I think you do go to like the town and be like, listen, guys, there's really no point us fighting each other here. Take a few extra worlds, do whatever you want.
I think you just.
By the way, big fan of the way.
You're now a vassal of the Imperium.
I might actually be tempted to join the way as the Lion. That would throw a spanner in the works.
That would be bad. Don't do that.
But
it'd be funny though, because
it would be funny, yeah.
You are just like another living saint of the ecclesiarchy.
And equally, I might just take out all the ethereals and then just have the Tau as mine.
This is sort of what I think you can do with the Tau, right? Because their control of technology and their mastery of technology is so high. They feel like useful people to have on your side.
Yeah, exactly. And the only way they're indoctrinated is effectively just by old radio broadcasts and leaflets. It's like,
I don't know. There's a lot of suggestions that the ethereals are doing some weird pheromone shit.
Yeah, but this is where you then say, Mephiston, mate. Why don't you just brainwash all of these Tau?
That's horrific. But yes, that is probably the way.
If they can hive mind, so can we.
I think what you do is you go to the Tyranids, not the Tyranids, you go to the Tau and you go, look, the only reason you exist is because we've not been paying attention. Case in point, look at me. And then probably just punch a battlesuit in half.
Yeah, just punch a manta.
Yeah, just no. You can be... If you join us, you can join us as like a vassal state, but you get to keep all your customs and all of that. I'm not going to enforce worship of the Emperor on you or anything like that, because honestly, that's just weird. But we want you to do tech sharing with the Mechanicus. We'll teach you gene therapy, because you don't have anything like that. You've got no juvenant treatments or anything. You teach us how to make pulse rifles, because I'd like to give all of the Imperial Guard pulse rifles instead of las rifles.
Fuck, can you imagine?
Yeah, I just won every war the Imperium ever has to fight.
That is horrifically terrifying, yeah.
I've just solved 40k.
You've just made humanity way too strong. That's just terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, imagine every Imperial Guardsman has a pulse rifle. Imagine, like, Terminators carrying rail guns. If you marry
See,
the
at that point, it becomes
Tau
less
technology to the Imperium's way of doing war, it's insane. You just win.
Yeah, you just win. I think that's right.
I think that's the answer. I
So,
think that's actually the answer.
the issue there is that someone is going to try and outdo you, right? Because Robuta will be like, no, these guys are Xenos. We must kill them.
I'll be like, mate, Ivrain?
Yeah, but we weren't going to go there.
No, not in that sense, but in the sort of
of course.
Yes, they're Xenos, but I'm just using them.
Yeah.
All I need is their tech. We turn the legions on them in 100 years. That's fine. Don't worry about that. Because I'm the Lion. I'm an asshole.
Yeah, that's true. I guess one thing we haven't considered is maybe just trying to speak to the hive mind and be like, guys, just go to another galaxy, mate. It's just not worth it. Right?
But that's when you discover that we're the only galaxy left.
Yeah, that well, it'd be good to know, I suppose.
Yeah.
One thing we haven't talked about.
All of a sudden, chaos looks a lot more attractive.
Yeah, fuck, I'm going straight to Slaanesh. Screw it. Literally. One thing we didn't talk about, right? Awaken Baz, Lionel Johnson. How do we feel about this reverential system that the Imperium has become? How do we feel about the God Emperor?
I think I would... It's so difficult, right? Because you're dealing with 10,000 years of cultural worship.
Yeah.
Sean, don't like that the Imperium has become a theocratic fascist state. As opposed to just the fascist state that it was in the Great Crusade.
It's getting incrementally worse, yes.
As Lionel Johnson, though, do I just use it?
Well, coming back to your point from before, like,
I'm an asshole.
Yeah, well, yes, but do we go for an audience with the Emperor?
I think you have to.
What I'm getting at is that means we get a one-on-one audience. Do we just sort of? Well, obviously we try to talk to him first, but do we just kill him and see what happens?
I would want to talk to the King in Yellow first. Like,
why? If you could just ask the Emperor, like, who knows?
If you can get the one-on-one audience with the Emperor, like Gilliman had, absolutely.
The point is, he probably would have told Gilliman, like, oh, what happens if I just
what happens if I just stab you? By the way, I think Valdor might be trying to do that. Do I let him?
Yeah,
but also, though, can't I just say that meeting was whatever I wanted it to be?
Of course, yeah.
So, yeah, I think you absolutely go to Terra and you have the meeting with the Emperor, and you say, you get the answers to all the questions that you want. Then you come out of that meeting and you go to the Senate and speak to the High Lords and go, yeah, Gilliman's in charge of everything except the military. I'm in charge of the military. We'll work together.
And then also to fuck with Robuta, I'd just replace a few of the High Lords, like he did.
I'd replace a few of the High Lords,
but not even like good, like obviously intentionally bad substitutions.
I don't know.
Just to fuck with Robuta.
That would be quite funny, but I wouldn't probably do that. But I would, for example, probably make Azrael a High Lord. He's my proxy on the council.
Yeah, but I sort of want him.
Yeah, but he can nominate a proxy. Maybe not Azrael. Maybe Dante. There's an idea.
No, because it's just too funny to have him be in charge of Imperium Nihilus.
No, I think Dante being Lord Regent of Imperium Nihilus, High Lord of Terra, stuck on Terra, not able to have any fighting.
Why do you hate Dante
all.
so much? Even
His
I think that's too cruel.
His chance of dying in battle goes to 0.
He's just dying slowly inside because he has to do politics.
I think you disband the High Lords as a thing. I think if you got yourself and Rabute, you just go, all right, we have a triumvirate. Me, Rabute, and Trajan Valorous. That's what rules the Imperium now. The High Lords can still exist as an administrative body, but the idea of them as the supreme authority has just completely gone now. I think. I'm probably just rehaving legions as well. Chapters of Space Marines don't make any sense. We're going back to legions.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't see any issue with that. I'd obviously re-establish my own legion as like the big fuck
absolutely. I'm rebuilding the first. Bring all the Unforgiven back into... You're all just Dark Angels now. You always were, but you probably are. I'd probably say that any first founding legion that has its own Primarch can be a legion. Everyone else has to be chapters. That's the way to do it.
What's the point of having successor chapters? Just make them all legions, right?
Yeah.
Like you see with the Blood Angels when Baal's under attack, like they all come
to the
aid of the Blood Angels. So it's like you might as well just be one legion.
It's essentially just to stop the Ultramarines being too big, I think. Because no one else has that many successors, really. Like the chapters...
Yeah.
The Unforgiven and the Chapters of the Blood are a lot of Marines. But the Ultramarine successors are it's like 10,000 chapters or something.
I also think that you tear up the Codex Astartes.
I know Gilliman is revising it. I think you just have to have a conversation with him where you go, these guys are fucking stupid. Like, the Imperium of the 41st millennium is just too stupid for you to not rip it up in front of them and say, it doesn't exist anymore. I'm writing a new doctrine of warfare. Like, it's this idea of, he's come back and says, oh, it was only meant to be guidelines, you shouldn't follow it too seriously, blah, 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 blah. I don't think they're smart enough to understand that.
Exactly.
They're too indoctrinated. I'd probably execute someone as well. Like, really, really, it's like the Archpope of the Ecclesiarchy or something.
Yeah, again, but this is where I'm hoping that forest walking is real, so you can just show up behind him as he's giving some sort of sermon and just chop his head off and very slowly resheath your blade and then just leave again.
So, I mean, there's lots of small things that we've suggested there. I do think the big one is you sort of don't worry about the current state of the Imperium. You reckon Gilliman is well placed to deal with that, and you go and kill Abaddon.
I think you go on, you go on your Pokemon journey.
Yeah, you make
go
your
and
list.
collect all the
Heads.
dudes. You become the human version of Trazyn, essentially. You're just collecting all the
but
all your fallen brothers. And
all that you're collecting is heads.
Exactly. Yeah. The one thing that we've obviously skated over, which is 100% what would actually happen were we to wake up as Lionel Johnson tomorrow, is we would both fall to chaos in maybe 5 seconds.
I would not.
You so would.
I'd keep a watcher nearby to make sure I didn't.
Oh yeah, as if one watcher is enough. I think we'd both fall to chaos very rapidly. We'd
both fall to Tzeentch, wouldn't we?
Yes.
We'd be doing way too much plotting.
Yeah, exactly. We'd have that scene where sort of one moment we just sort of look in the mirror and go, shit, have I become the bad guy?
The thing is,
and that's when Tzeentch has you.
I think the thing is, if you're Lionel Johnson, the answer is yes, but I don't care.
Well, if you're anyone in 40k, the answer is yes.
Am I the bad guy? Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
I think we've been talking for a really long time, I think we probably want to bring this to something approaching a close.
Let's wrap up. So I think yes, you let Gilliman handle the Imperium. Gilliman and Dante has sort of handle the Imperium. You go and collect heads and take names.
Gilliman, point me at problems. I will go fix the problems that you identify.
Yeah. Oh, fuck Gilliman. I can fix my own problems. We talk to the Emperor to get an idea on that. We try and find the King in Yellow.
Yeah.
We try to subvert the Tau.
Yes.
We talk to the Eldar in some way.
And the Necrons, I think.
And you talk to the Silent King very specifically. Yeah.
Specifically the Silent King, yeah.
And then we just put a pin in the NIDS and worry about that another day.
Hope that that's a problem that fixes
I know that our plot armor
somehow.
is thick enough that we will always retreat to our very last fortress monastery, and then something will happen to kill them all.
And maybe try and get some other Primarchs, but...
Yeah, no, I don't hate that idea. I think it doesn't hurt, right?
It doesn't hurt. I think that's exactly right.
It doesn't hurt. So I think we've been pretty all encompassing. I guess one of the major threats we didn't really talk about was the Orcs, but they're just kind of
not
like
a coherent threat.
Exactly. They just pop up and you deal with them as and when.
Yeah. They're literally your... Oh, there's also Orcs here. Problem. Like, they're you got to keep an eye on them, make sure they don't get too big. But if they get too big, you just throw 100 Space Marines at them.
Yeah, agreed.
Fixed it.
Well, no, you don't even need that anymore because now you can just throw a regiment of
pulse rifle
wielding guard at the problem, and everything's solved. I think that might be the best thing you have ever said on one of these podcasts.
I get that. I get pulse rifles
idea
for the Imperium. God, that's so scary.
So we wake up as Lionel Johnson, and the Imperium gets pulse rifles, and it's great news.
Solved it.
Well, I think we can end it there. I think that's quite a punchy end.
Yeah. Let us know.
So we rambled, as was expected.
We spoke for a really long time.
But let us know what you would do as the Lion, as Lionel Johnson, were you to wake up right now in the 40k timeline. And also let us know who you want to see next in the Wake Up Ass series. I mean, it'll be another year before we do another one, obviously.
It will be. Next one high on my list to do is Mace Windu, I think.
Mace Windu, I think, is a really good one. I'm a big fan of Mace Windu as an idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know who you might want to, get our undeniably correct opinions on.
Yeah.
Not Henry VIII.
No, we're not doing Henry VIII. It's just not happening.
But yeah, on that note, thanks for listening to this episode of Expertise is Overrated. No doubt we've said some things that were either objectively wrong or downright offensive. As ever, feel free to let us know, rate the podcast and leave us a comment, or drop us an email at expertiseisoverrated@gmail.com, tweet us at ZeroExpertise, check out our website expertiseisoverrated.podbean.com, or come join us on our Discord server.
If you're lucky, we might just argue with you in one of our upcoming episodes. If you're really lucky, we might call you an idiot. Come back next time for some more absolute nonsense.